This conference will now be recorded.
So in the previous session, we have discussed about lighting framework, and we have discussed what exactly lighting framework and why Salesforce introduced lighting framework, and what are the various lighting component frameworks as introduced by Salesforce, and what is the history of lighting component framework. Yesterday we have discussed, okay, with a practical, and what are the various drawbacks that we have in classic development, and what kind of benefits that we have in lighting component frameworks here we have discussed. Now, let's see. Now today we are going to discuss about the what are the various benefits that we have with lighting framework and where we can use these lighting components. Because that already we have discussed, lighting framework is purely supporting component based framework, where each functionality we are implementing in the form of small units. Those are called as components. So component is nothing but a piece of reusable code which is used to perform certain operations in the application, which can be referenced in different places of your application development. So we can build the component once and we can reuse the component in different places of your application development whenever you want, wherever you want. Now, so now here in this case, let's see. So where we can use these lighting components, we'll see. And then today we are going to discuss how a lighting component will work. That means what are all the architectural changes that Salesforce made in Lightning framework, how a normal Visual Force page will get executed, how a Lightning component will get executed, what is the background, okay, architectural changes that we have between these two, we'll see one by one today. And then we'll see the concept of Lightning applications. What exactly a Lightning application and what it contains, and what is the lightning application bundle. So in that lightning application bundle, what are the various resources that we have, what is the functionality of each and every resource, how to create lightning application, what is the navigation, how to see the existing lightning application which we have created in the past, how to see them, we'll see one by one with the practical today. Okay, now let's see. Now let me explain the benefits of lighting components or the lighting frame. What are the various benefits that we have with this lighting framework? Okay, now let's see. So that already we know lighting framework provides attractive look and feel. Whatever the user interfaces you are going to design, so those user interfaces we can make it look like rich. So it will be having some rich look and feel so that it will attract the customers. So we can make our component or we can make our user interface look like attractive with the help of lighting framework. Now, that is the first benefit here. So because that already told you in the previous session, whatever the user interfaces providing by the Visual Force user interfaces are not looking like that much attractive. So, as part of Lightning framework, we have the flexibility, we have the provision to make our Lightning user interface look like attractive. And that too, we can make this Lightning user interface okay lightweight, so that we can improve the application performance as well. So in this case, Lightning framework provides the lightweight user interfaces. Then what do you mean by this lightweight? Here, we are not using Apex programming much. Most of the functionalities, most of the business logics, we are executing within the browser level, which can be done with the help of client-side business logic that is called as a JavaScript. So through JavaScript, we can implement most of the business logics which will be executing within our browser. If it is really needed, then only it will invoke the affix class method. It will send the request to server. It will process the request. We can get the response. That means we are reducing the number of server trips also. If the number of server trips are reduced, then we can reduce the burden on your Salesforce server so that we can able to improve the application performance. So in this case, as part of this Lightning framework, the first benefit is Lightning framework provides the attractive user interfaces. Second benefit is by using Lightning framework, we can design lightweight user interfaces which provides the faster performance. Third one, whatever the user interfaces that we're designing by using Lightning framework, these are purely mobile friendly interfaces. That means Lightning user interfaces can be accessible through browser also and through mobile app also. That's what I told you by using Lightning. Lightning is a user interface of framework. It is mainly concentrating on designing part designing part, which can make this user interfaces can be accessible from mobile apps also. So here, Lightning user interfaces are purely mobile friendly interfaces. Next, the fourth benefit here. So whatever the Lightning user interfaces that are built, Lightning user interfaces can be accessible from the communities also. From the communities also, we can make it accessible. We can build our own Lightning communities or the community cloud that is also called as Experience Cloud nowadays. So we can able to access this Lightning user interfaces from the Lightning communities also because community cloud is purely built upon Lightning framework, not classic. We don't have any classic user interfaces over here. Okay, now in this case here, now in this case, whatever the Lightning user interfaces that were built, we can make it accessible from the Lightning communities also. And the fifth one, we can apply our own custom styles also, whatever we need. So upon designing our own Lightning user interfaces, we can apply our own custom styles, and that too it is providing more customizations. It provides more customizations than the classic user interfaces. Because classic user interfaces are static user interfaces, fixed user interfaces. If you want to make a small change in that one, then it won't allow. We need to redesign the whole user interface manually. But as part of Lightning framework, we can able to make the changes in that particular part itself. You no need to redesign the whole user interface manually. We can able to make the changes whatever you want, whatever the component, whatever the part you want to make customized, then you can do that. So it provides more customizations than the Salesforce Classic. These are few benefits are available as part of Lightning framework. Okay, now make a note of this one. Benefits by using this Lightning framework, we can design attractive and responsive user interfaces. We can design attractive and responsive user interfaces. This is the first benefit. Second benefit, we can make the user interface lightweight. Lightweight so that we can make the application performance improved. Third one, We can apply the custom styles based on the need. Based on the requirement, we can apply our own custom styles. Lightning user interfaces are mobile friendly interfaces. Lightning user interfaces are mobile friendly interfaces. It provides more customizations than classic classic through declaratively through declaratively. It provides more security, more security for the user interface by using Lightning Locker services. With the help of Lightning Locker services, we can able to make that components more secured. And then we can make the user interfaces can be accessible from Lightning communities. We can make the user interfaces can be accessible from Lightning communities. These are the various benefits that we have with the Lightning framework. Done with this? Now, so now let's see, once the Lightning component has been built, then where we can use these Lightning components. What are all the various areas in which we can reference the Lightning components? We can now, let's see. Now, for example, let me show you. I'm going to my Salesforce org now. I'm going to my Salesforce org. For example, This is my Salesforce arc. Now tell me, this user interface is what? Classic or Lightning? Classic, right. Now this is the classic user interface. Now, so now when you go to that Lightning experience, switch it to Lightning experience. Now, let me go to that application. We are having so many applications, including standard and the custom. I'm going to an application that is Tesla sales application, which is my standard application, which I have customized. Now, this is the application's home page. Okay, this is the application. This is the application here. This is my application. In this application, we have so many parts are available. We have so many parts. This is one part. Okay, this is one part. Up to this one. This is another part here. This is another part. This is another part. This is another part. Now here I have a Lightning applications home page. So now by default home tab has been selected. This is the home page. In this home page, we are having this so many parts are available here. This each part is nothing but a component. This is one component, component one. There is a second component over here, component two. There is a component three. This is a component four. Like that here, when you come down, this is a component 5, there is a component 6, there is a component 7. Like that, multiple components are available. That means what here, as part of this Lightning framework, whatever the user interface we are designing, each user interface will be nothing but a component. That means each functionality should be implemented in the form of small reusable units that is called as components. This is one component over here. If you want this same component in different place, directly we can use it. Okay, directly we can use it. That facility is available over here. Now, because as part of Lightning framework, Lightning is purely supporting SPA architecture. Lightning purely supporting SPA architecture. SPA architecture means single page application architecture. Okay, single page application architecture. Now, so now in this case, we are having a single page over here. This is the page that we have. In that page, we are placing all the components. We are placing one component over here, one component in this place, one component in this place. Like that, whatever the components that we have, we are arranging the components inside an application. So, Lightning is purely supporting SPA architecture. It may be either ARA framework, LWC framework, also both will be purely supporting SPA architecture, where we are having a single page. In that single page, we are accommodating multiple components also. Each component contains some set of functionalities which we can use as part of your application development. Now, so now this is the home page over here. In this home page, we can able to use this component. In applications also, we can use these components also. For example, I'm having some records. Let me go to my account object here. I'm opening a record over here. Now, here also we can able to use these details here. This is called as record page. This is called as a record page. That means a detailed information of that record over here. In this particular place also, we can able to accommodate that component as well here. So, Lightning components can be used in the Lightning application also, in home page also, in record page also, and then we can create your own tab also. So now that already told you, in our starting sessions, we have discussed about the concept of tabs. There I told you Salesforce provides five types of tabs like custom object tabs, web tabs, visual force tabs, lightning component tabs, lightning page tabs. These are the five types of tabs are available in Salesforce. Now we can able to add a tab. Upon click on the tab, that lightning user interface also we can open. So that here, whatever the lightning components that we have built, those components we can accessible inside the lightning component tabs also. Okay, not only using this lightning components inside the application, not only in the home page, not only in the record page, over here inside the lightning component tabs also we can able to use it. Now let me show you one practical over here. So now here we are having two tabs are available: related tab, details tab. Two tabs are available. Here I would like to add one more tab over here. Here I would like to place one component. How to place? Now let me show you. Now just you can go to that setup menu. For your information, I'm showing. When moving forward, we'll see everything one by one. Now click on edit page. Click on edit page. Now this whole user interface will be visible in editable format over here. This is the Lightning App Builder. In this Lightning App Builder, we can able to see this user interface. Now we are having this tabs. Okay, related tab, and we are having this details tab, news tab. I want to add one more tab also. There I would like to place a component. Just you can click on this tabs component here. Here it is providing the tabs whatever we have right now. Related tab, details tab, news tab. Which tab is selected by default over here? Related tab. That's what here it is indicating. The default tab is related tab over here. I want to add one more. So click on add tab button over here. Click on add tab. Now it is giving the tab name as the details. I don't want these details. I will give my own. Now just you can click on this. Now it is providing so many labels over here. These are the default labels suggesting by the Lightning framework to you. If you want to use any one of these labels, then you can use. Or else if you want to give your own name for your tab, here we have the option custom. Click on custom. I'm giving the tab name over here. I want to indicate that component over here, like as custom tab. Okay, custom tab. Click on done button. Now a new tab has been added over here. Click on the tab name, custom tab. You can add your component. For the previous batch, we have prepared so many components over here. I'm placing these components. Now here I'm placing a component over here, simple button component. Here, this is the components which I have prepared. Now for that previous batch over here. Now I'm drag and drop. Just you can drag and drop this component here. Okay, just you can build once. If you want this one different places, directly drag and drop over here. That's what I told you. Component is nothing but a piece of reusable code, okay, which can be built once and reused in different places wherever you are. Now I'm placing this component inside this tab. Now once you are done with that, save it. Click on save. Now I want to make it visible, to be visible in multiple applications. Click on activate. Application default. Assign for the applications, like as for Merck Pharma application, Farmers Insurance Lightning application, and for Tesla sales application also. Now I want to make it accessible from both the desktop application and mobile access, mobile phones also. Now make it save. Once you are done, click on save. When moving forward, we'll see everything one by one, step by step. For your information, I'm showing that. Just you can go back, go to your account object here. We are having this custom tab. This is a tab which we have added. Now we can able to see that button controls, okay, which I have placed inside my component. Depends upon the requirement, we can able to place this components also wherever you want. Suppose if the same component here, same buttons are required in your home page also here. Here also if you want to place, then we can able to drag and drop. Just we can go to that setup menu, edit page. Then we have to make it accessible from the home page also over there. Then we can able to make it accessible. Now, that component we haven't enabled for the home page. Only for the record page I have enabled over here. That is a configuration that we have set. Now this employee details component we have placed only on home page over here. So now whatever the components you have built, those components will be getting visible over here. Just you can drag and drop the components wherever you want. Okay. Now we can develop once and we can reuse it in multiple places whenever you want, wherever you want. So for that reason here, we are going to be using this lighting components. Lighting components can be not only using in application page, we can use it in home page also, record page also, and the lighting tabs also we can able to use that in lighting communities also. And we can use this lighting components inside Visual Force pages also. Lighting components we can reference in Visual Force pages also with the help of a feature called as lightning out. Lighting out is a feature in Salesforce which is used to make my components can be backward compatible here. Backward compatible means what? Visual Force is okay, very old one. Now I'm preparing that latest component framework that is Lightning. I want to make it accessible in the previous applications also, old applications also, so that I want to make it compatible with the backward compatibility. For that one, they have given a feature called as Lightning Out. By using lighting out, we can make our lighting components can be accessible from Visual Force pages as well. That facility is available to you here. Okay. Generally, lighting components are future compatible. Okay, future compatible here. But now, if you want to make it backward compatible, then we can use the help of a feature called as lighting out feature. So that here, develop the component once, and we can use the component in different places wherever you want. And along with that, we can develop the component and use the component in multiple frameworks also. Not only in our Salesforce framework, we can use it in Heroku also. It may be in SAP framework also, or it may be SharePoint also. In multiple frameworks also, we can use these components as well. So these are the various places where we can reference these components as well. So now in this case, lighting components can be used in different places of your application development. We can use it in okay lighting application also, lighting home page also, in the record page also, in the lighting tab also, in lighting communities also, in Visual Force pages also. By using lighting out, we can accessing other platforms also over here. In different places, we can reference these lighting components here. Okay, clear? Now, make a note of this one. Now, lightning components can be accessible from different places of the application development as below. Now, we can access from or we can access in lightning application. We can access in lightning home page. We can access in lightning record page. We can access in lightning tabs. We can access in lightning community builder. That means community sites. We can access from Visual Force pages by using lightning out. We can access in other platforms also. Also, for example, Salesforce platform, Heroku, SAP, SharePoint, etc. These are the various places where we can able to reference these lighting components. Done with this? Now, so now let's see what are all the architectural changes that Salesforce made as part of this lighting framework. How a normal traditional application, that means Visual Force application works, how a lighting framework application works. Now let's see. Okay, now let me explain the traditional MVC architecture. Because Salesforce is purely supporting MVC architecture. MVC stands for Model View Controller. Okay, Model View Controller. Okay, now, so how the traditional MVC look likes? Now, this is for the classic applications. That means Visual Force. We'll see how this a traditional MVC architecture look like and how the components are communicating with each other. We'll see one by one. Then we will see how the lighting MVC architecture look like. We'll see with the practical. Done with these points? Now let's see. Let's see the traditional MVC architecture first. Let's see the traditional MVC architecture. So now tell me generally here, what is the full form of MVC? MVC stands for what?
Model.
Now, MVC stands for Model View controller. MVC stands for model, view, and the controller. Now tell me, what do you mean by model part? What do you mean by view part? What do you mean by controller part? What it contains? Now let me explain. Now, generally, whenever we are building any application or any project, not only in Salesforce, you can take Java also, .NET also, SAP, Oracle, mainframes, anything, whatever, each and every application contains the three layers. These are also called as three parts. These are also called as the three tiers. That's what, whatever the real-time applications that we are building, those will be called as three-tier architecture applications. Three tiers means what? Three layers will be available. Those three layers are model, view, controller. Three parts will be available here. Then, what exactly the model, what exactly the view, what exactly the controller? Okay, how these three parts are communicating with each other. Now, let me explain in our normal traditional, okay, Visual Force applications. Then, how these three parts will be communicating with each other in lighting application, in lighting component, okay, we'll see practically. Now, let's see. First of all, we have to understand what exactly the model part. Model part means what? In Salesforce, model describes what?
The data models.
What? Data model. Okay, right. Simply we can say data model. So now we can describe that model describes how the data has been organized. How the data has been organized. That means how you are storing the data, where you are storing the data. We are storing the data where? Inside the database. In the form of what? Objects. Each object contains what? Fields. Between the objects, what we have? Associations. That means relationships. So now this entire part will be called as model part. So model will be purely concentrating on database part. Model part means database part, which indicates how the data has been organized, how the data has been stored. Okay, so in this case, as part of model, model part contains your database objects. Okay, your database objects and the fields and the associations. These will be comes under model part over here. Second, view. View part is what?
UI.
User interface, right? So now view part is called as presentation, or screen, or front end, or forms, or pages. Okay, the people are calling with a different terminology here. So now in this case, view part is going to be, okay, describing how the data has been represented. Representing means presenting, displaying the data. You want to show the data in the form of a picture. You want to show the data in the form of a tabular structure. You want to show a single record. You want to show the data in the form of, okay, like as a tab, or how you are representing these records. So now in this case, view part is purely concentrating on how can we, okay, represent the records, how to represent the data that will be taken care by view part. That means which is having user interface, which contains some visual appearance controls like text boxes, buttons also, text box, and the check boxes, pick list controls, various controls we can use to represent the records. Next, controller part. Controller means what? Hmm. Controller part contains what? Business logic. Okay, business logic, which is a connector between the model and view. Okay, model and the view. So now model is the back end, view is the front end. That means here user interface, database. Between these two, we have a communication layer that is called as controller part over here. Okay, we are having controller part. That is nothing but business logic part over here. Now, then how these three parts are communicating? Now, let me explain as part of your traditional MVC architecture. Now, here I'm having a user interface. For example, I'm designing a user interface. I'm designing a user interface in order to create some new customer record. I'm designing a user interface over here. This is a user interface part. This user interface part is also called as front end. This is also called as view, presentation, or form, or this is also called as pages. The people are using different terminology here to call it over here. Now, in this case, we are designing this user interfaces. In traditional MVC, how we are designing this user interfaces by using Visual Force programming. Okay, Visual Force programming here. By using Visual Force pages, we are designing this. Now, here I am placing the required visual appearance controls. Like I would like to place the customer name. Now, contact number, email address, current employer or balance amount. I'm placing some text boxes over here which can be used to create a new customer record. I'm placing the required text boxes also over here. I'm placing few text boxes. To enter the customer name, I'm placing one text box. To enter the customer contact number, I'm placing one more text box. For the email ID, one more text box. For the balance amount, one more text box. And then I'm placing two button controls over here. First one, save button. Second one, cancel button. Two buttons I would like to place. These are the two buttons. Save button and the cancel button. These are the two buttons here. Now, this is the front end part, that means a view, which has been designed by using Visual Force. Through Visual Force programming, we are going to be designing this user interface. Now tell me here, this is the client part. Okay, this is the client. Because Visual Force pages can be accessible through browser. This is the browser part, this is the client. This will be called as client. That means browser. This is the client part here. Now, so now after entering the data in this text boxes, as soon as once you click on save button, what it will do? It will save the record inside your object. Where is your object? In the database. Where is the database? Inside your Salesforce server. That means inside your Salesforce server, we have the database. Now it will be connecting to the database. Now, for example, so this is the server that we have. I'm having this a Salesforce server. This is the Salesforce server that we have. There is a Salesforce server. We are having this a Salesforce server. In this Salesforce server, I'm having this a database. This is the database that we have. I'm having this a database. This is the database. What is the database for Salesforce? Database.com. Okay. Database.com is the customized database for Salesforce. Now this is called as model part. This is called as model. This is also called as backend. Okay, this is a backend part. Now, how we are designing this database part here? How can we design this model part? Model part can be implemented with the help of your Salesforce objects. In Salesforce, what type of objects are available? We have standard objects and then we have custom objects. We have standard objects and we have custom objects here. The combination of both the standard and custom objects will be called as yes objects in Salesforce. So all the objects and the records will be available inside this database. Now tell me, after entering the data inside this text boxes, when you click on save button, it will be going to the directly to the database over here? No, because this user interface doesn't know to which database it has to connect, to which object it has to connect, in which fields it has to store the data. It doesn't know, because in my database.com hundreds of objects are available. In which object it has to get stored, it don't have that much of intelligence. In this case, how it is going to be connecting to this database? For that one, between this front end and the back end, we have a mediator layer. Okay, we have a mediator layer is available over here. This mediator layer is nothing but business logic. We are having mediator layer that is called as business logic layer. This is a business logic layer. Now, then how you are implementing this business logic? Business logic can be done with the help of what? Apex programming, right? We are implementing the business logic with the help of Apex programming. Through Apex programming, we are implementing our own business logic also here. Now, in this case, what will happen after entering the data inside this text boxes? As soon as once you click on the save button, immediately a request will be sending to that Salesforce server. That too, it will send the request to business logic layer. A request will be sending to that business logic layer. Now, as soon as whenever the request has been sent to the business logic layer, now the business logic layer is going to be interacting with the database objects. It will be interacting with the database objects here. It will perform the required operations. Once operations has been done, it will collect the response back from the database. It will collect the response back from the database. Now, the same response will be forwarding back to the user interface again. Whatever the response it has received, that response will be sending back to the user interface automatically here. You will be getting that response. Okay, understood the concept here? This is the flow. Okay, this is the flow of interacting with these three components here. As part of this MVC, we have model, view, and the controller. Model part is nothing but the database part. View is nothing but the user interface. Controller is nothing but business logic over here. Now, the view can be designed by using Visual First programming, and the model can be designed by using your own objects and the fields and the associations, and the controller part will be implementing with the help of Apex programming language. So now after entering the data in the user interface, as soon as once you click on this button control, the request will be sending to the Salesforce server. It will go to the business logic component. Business logic will be interacting with the database. It will perform the required operation. Once operations has been done in the database, it will get the response back. This response will be forwarding back to the user interface. This is a flow will be happening as part of traditional MVC architecture. In this traditional MVC architecture, this is how these three components will be getting interacting with each other here. Okay, understood the concept now? Now let's see. As part of Lightning MVC, how it works, how it look like in Lightning framework. Now let me explain. This is the traditional MVC architecture, which will be supporting by Visual First Programming. Let me explain the Lightning MVC architecture over there. Let me go to that Lightning MVC architecture. Lightning MVC architecture. How this Lightning MVC look like? Okay, now let's see. Now, for example, assume that we have a user interface. I have designed a user interface over here. In Lightning framework, user interface will be designing with the help of what? By using Lightning frameworks. Now, what Lightning frameworks that we have in Salesforce? ARA and LWC. So here, this user interface we are going to be building with the help of ARA and LWC framework over here. Now, there is a user interface part. ARA are Lightning Web Components. With the help of these ARA components or Lightning Web Components, we can able to design your own customized user interface, whatever we need. We can place your own visual appearance controls over here. Then, after that, we are having that server. After that, we have server. So this is the server that we have. We are having this a Salesforce server. Now, we are having this a Salesforce server here. So now in this Salesforce server, we are having this a business logic layer, that means controller part and the database part. This is common here. So now here in this case, what will happen is, generally when you go to that normal classic MVC, upon click on this save button or upon click on any button control on the screen, directly request will be sending to the server here. Directly request will be sending to the server. Suppose if I am clicking 20 buttons, 20 requests will be sending to the server. In this case, now tell me, this server will be accessing by how many people? So many people, not only myself, so many people are accessing. If all the people's requests are coming to the same server, it will be putting some more load on the server, right? Yes, definitely. It will be putting some more load on the server. Definitely, it will take some more time to process. It will impact on your application performance also. It will be making some more load on your server also here. This is the problem. In this case, to avoid this load on the server here, they would like to do that load balancing. They would like to do that load balancing over here. They want to balance the load. They don't want to put some more load on the server. They would like to balance the load. For that one here, as soon as once you click on this save button, immediately the request will be going to that controller part over here. What controller? Now let me explain. Here we are having a controller part. Inside the user interface level, we are having a controller part over here. We have a controller. Now this controller is called as client side controller. This is called as client side controller. Client side controller. So client means what? Browser. Client means what? Browser here. Okay, now. So now here in this case here, now this client side controller will be implementing with the help of a programming called as JavaScript. JavaScript programming. Client-side controller should be implemented with the help of JavaScript programming here. Okay, JavaScript programming. Now observe this one here. How many controllers are available here? Two controllers are available here. This is the client side, this is a server side controller. That's what here, when you go to the Lightning framework, you will be having two types of controllers are available over here. This is a server side controller. Now, there is a server side controller. We have two types of controllers are available in Lightning framework. First one, client side controller. Second one, server side controller. Client side controller will be implementing by using what? JavaScript programming. Server side controller should be implementing by using what? Apex programming. Client side controller will execute where? In the client side. Client means what? Browser. Within my browser only it will be executing. Server side controller will be executing where? In Salesforce server, not in my local system, in Salesforce server here. Okay, now. So in this case, as soon as once you click on this save button or any button control, immediately the request will be sending to that client side controller. Client side controller here. The request will be sending to that client side controller. That means what? When coming to the Lightning framework can't interact with your server side controller directly. There is no direct interaction here. This is the difference. If it is a visual force, directly it will be connecting to that Apex programming. But here, there is no concept of Apex programming much. Now, in this case, as soon as once you click on this any button control, it will not be going to that server side controller. So, Lightning components, it may be ARA, it may be LWC, these components can't invoke your Apex programming code directly. There is no such kind of communication. So now in this case, as soon as once you click on this button control, the request will be sending to the client side controller over here. Okay, now. So once it is done here, now the client side controller is going to be performing the operations. Whatever the operations are required, these operations it is going to be performing over here. Sometimes we can raise a question, sir, I want to connect to the database over here. I want to insert some records inside the database over here. In that case, if you want to connect to the database really, then it will be sending the request to server side controller. That means your Lightning component will be interacting with the client side controller. Client side controller is going to be interacting with your server side controller over here. It will make a request over here to that server side controller. This is an asynchronous request. It's an asynchronous request. That means which will be executing inside that server, okay, by placing inside the queue. Okay, normal request will be executing immediately. Now the asynchronous request will be executing by placing inside that server, by placing inside the queue. Now, so now as soon as once you click on this okay, button control on the Lightning component, then it will be making a request to the client side controller. Client side controller will be performing the operation. Suppose if it is really required to connect to the respective database, then it will be making an asynchronous request to okay, server side controller. Now server side controller is going to be okay, sending the request to database. It will perform the operation. It will collect the response back. Once the response has been collected, it will send the response back to the client side controller over here. Okay, two controllers are available here. Now it will be getting the response back. It will be getting the response back. This is a synchronous response. Now, asynchronous response. So now we are getting this asynchronous response from that particular server side controller over here. Now, as soon as this client side controller is receiving the response from the server side controller, immediately it is not showing on the user interface. Here it will maintain a database over here. Here it will maintain a local database. It will maintain a local database over here. Now, here it will maintain a local database. This is called as cache memory. Cache memory. This cache memory is also called as client-side database. Client-side database. Now this is also called as helper. This is also called as helper. This is also called as helper. Now, as soon as whenever it is going to be receiving the response from the server side controller, immediately it will be making a request to that. It will make a request to that cache memory. It will store that response inside this cache memory. Then, once the response has been stored inside the cache memory, then immediately it will be sending the response back to that user interface. It will send the response back to that user interface. This is the flow. Okay. Now, in this case here, what happened over here? What is the flow? Now, as soon as once you click on the button control, request will go to that client side controller here. Client side controller will do the operation. If it is simple operation, it will send the response back. Or else, if it is really request to connect to the database, it will make a request to that server side controller. Server side controller will perform the operation. It will collect the response back. Now the response will be forwarding back to that client side controller. Now the client side controller is going to be storing one copy of the response inside this particular cache memory that is called as client side database, that is also called as helper. And then it will show the response back onto the user interface. Okay. Now observe this one. Suppose when I click on the same button again, okay, when I click on the same button again here, what it will do? Directly request will be going to that client side controller here. Now it will check that whatever the response that we have, whatever the request we have made, it will look into the cache memory first. It won't go to the server side controller always. It will check into the client side memory. That means cache memory, whether this response is already available or not. If it is available, it will collect the response from here. It will be directly visible on that user interface. So we are reducing one server trip over here. So that here we can reduce that number of server trips. So we can reduce the burden on the server. We can improve the application performance. Okay, concept is simple. Now let me explain one small general scenario. Let's see in this case here. For example, assume that I have my smartphone. In my smartphone, I have so many contacts are available, hundreds of contacts. Since today morning, I made so many calls to the people here. Okay, I made so many calls to my friends, my colleagues, my relatives, my family members. So many people I made the calls. I had some conversation. Now today, now I want to make a call to my father again. Since today morning here, I made 2 times the calls to my father. Now I want to make a call to my father again here. Then what will you do? Will you go to the contacts list and will you search? Or will you go to the call history? Directly we can go to the call history. Call history is nothing but what? Cache memory. Whatever the calls that were made in the past, those calls information will be storing inside the call history. Directly we can go to the call history. We can search whether that number is available. If yes, directly we can press, we can make a call. Suppose if that number is not available, then what we will do? Go to the contacts list, then we can search. This is the same concept here also. Okay, so in this case, whatever the requests that you have processed recently, those responses will be storing inside the cache memory here. Whenever the user is making a request to that particular client side controller, first it will check in that cache memory whether this request related response is available or not. If yes, if it is available, directly it will pick up that response, it will forwarding to the user interface. If the response is not available, then it will make a request to the server side controller. It will perform the operation, get the response back. It will be forwarding the response back to the client side controller. Then it will make one copy into that cache memory always. Okay, for the subsequent request, it will be placing that response inside the cache memory. Okay, understood the concept now? Now, so in this case, as part of this Lightning framework here, we are having two types of controllers are available: client side controller and the server side controller. Two types of controllers are available over here. Client side controller will be implemented with the help of JavaScript. Server side controller should be implemented by using Apex programming here. Now, this is your client part. This is your client part over here. This is your client part. This is your client. That is nothing but browser. Now, in this case here, when I observe this one here, when I observe this functionality, now tell me how this is looking like over here. It's looking like as MVC architecture, right? Yes. That means here this is that front end. That means here we are having view, we are having controller, we are having database. That means here model here. Now, that means what? In the client side, it is maintaining one separate MVC. Now, when you considering this whole functionality, whole client like as a single, then we are having this. This is a client, this is a server here. This is MVC. Now this is the view, and this is the controller, this is the model here. We are having this, okay, MVC. Here, when you consider this one, this is a view, and this is the controller, this is the model. That means what? In the client side, Lightning Framework maintains a separate MVC over here. This is the difference between your normal Visual Force page execution architecture and your Lightning Framework execution architecture. Okay, this is a major difference. Now, here in this case, as part of this Lightning Framework provides two types of controllers. First one, client side controller. Second one, server side controller. Client side controller will be implementing through JavaScript, and then server side controller will be implementing through Apex programming. We have two databases. One is the actual database. Second one is the client side database that is called as helper components over here. That is nothing but cache memory, which is to improve your application performance over here. Okay, understood the concept now? Now, in this case, how is the flow is going on? Okay, as soon as once you click on button controls on any of this Lightning component, ARA or LWC, it will make a request to client side controller. Client side controller will make a request to server side controller. It will perform the operation. It will get the response back. The response will be sending to client side controller. It will store one copy of the response in cache memory. That will be representing the result back to that user interface. In future, if the user is invoking same request again, it won't go to the database. Directly request will go to the client side controller. It will search in the cache memory, get the response, send it back to the user interface, so that we can improve your application performance. This is how they made some changes in architecture level as part of your Lightning framework. Okay, understood the concept here? Now, so now in this case, as part of Lightning framework, most of the functionalities we are implementing in JavaScript. Very little bit functionality we are implementing on Apex programming over here, because we can reduce the burden on the server. Okay, we can maintain that load balancing as part of your Lightning framework. Okay, understood the concept now? So this is the major difference between the architectural level changes as part of your traditional MVC and then Lightning MVC architecture over here. Okay. Now let me save this file. Now we have discussed traditional MVC architecture and then Lightning MVC architecture also. So which is for ARA or Lightning Web Components. Okay, clear up to this one? Now let's come to the concept of Lightning application. How can we create Lightning applications? And we have to understand what exactly a Lightning application, what it contains, and then how can we create our own Lightning application. And as part of this Lightning application bundle, what are the various resources that we have? That means what are the files that we have? And then what properties are available for this Lightning application? Everything we'll see one by one. Okay, now. So generally, what do you mean by an application? Application contains some set of features. Okay, generally application contains a set of features. Now, here let's come to your Lightning application. Now this Lightning application contains what? This is what? The front end part, up to this one. This is what that already told you. This is one component. This one component. This one component. This one component. Like that, how many we can place? N number of, no limitation. Now in this case here, when you combine all these components, then it will be called as what? Application. Then simply how can we define an application now? A collection of Lightning component. That's it. Simple concept here. Okay, simple concept. So now Lightning application contains a collection of Lightning components. Now here you can raise a question, sir, we have two frameworks are available, ARA framework. Through ARA framework, we can build some components, Lightning Web Component framework, we can build some components also here. In this case, what components we can place? We can place both. Okay, we can place both. Lightning application contains ARA components, Lightning Web components are both we can mix together inside an application here. Okay, now. So now in this case, Lightning application contains a collection of Lightning components which includes both ARA components and Lightning Web components also. Now, because that already told you, Lightning framework is purely supporting SPA architecture, single page application architecture. We are not having separate pages for each component. All the components we are accommodating within a single page itself, within a single application itself. So that in this case here, Lightning framework is purely supporting SPA architecture, that means single page application architecture. So within a single application, we can able to have the multiple components also. Now these components includes, okay, the ARA components, LWC components also. Like for example, this is ARA component. This is Lightning Web component. This is Lightning Web component. This is ARA component. Like that here, multiple components we can mix together inside a single application as well. Okay, we can place a group of components inside an application. Okay, now. So now here in this case here, let's see. We can now here in this case. As part of this application, how can we prepare an application in Lightning framework? In order to prepare this Lightning application, we are using the help of a tag that is called as ARA application tag. ARA application by ARA application. Here we can able to place your lighting components. And then we can able to add HTML elements also. So now here in this case, we can say lightning application body should be built by using lightning components and HTML elements. HTML elements means what? HTML tags also we can use. Like we can use that body tag also. We can use that font tag also, italic tag also, break tag also. Like that, whatever the HTML tags that we have, we can use this HTML tags. Those tags are called as HTML elements. Along with this HTML elements, we can place lightning components also. So not only one, multiple components also we can able to place inside a single lightning application. Each lightning application should be starts with the ARA application. It should be ends with ARA application. This will be having by ARA application tag. This is called as by. Okay. Now the forward slash is available over here. Okay. This is called as forward slash. This is called as backward slash. Now here there is a starting, there is a ending. Now generally whenever we are using programming language, we are using braces. Now this braces is indicating this is the starting, this is the ending here. Like the similar fashion, when you go to that markup languages, this is the starting, this is the ending. Ending is starting with that prefixing with the by. That means here, so forward slash. Okay, ARA application, this is the starting tag, this is the ending tag. In between this ARA application, you can place whatever you want. We can design whatever you want. We can represent whatever you want. Not only one component, multiple components we can mix together, we can place inside this ARA application over here. Okay, understood the concept here? Now, so in this case, in order to design a lighting application, we have to use the help of a tag called as ARA application tag. By using this ARA application tag, we can able to design your own lighting application by accommodating one or more number of lighting components and the HTML elements also inside it over here. Okay, clear up to this one? Now, make a note of this one. Lighting application contains a collection of lighting components. Lighting components where each component contains certain functionalities. Each component contains certain functionalities. Now, lighting application can include both ARA components and lighting web components also. So within a single application, we can place both. Now, note. Lighting framework purely supports SPA architecture. That is single page application architecture. Now, lighting application body should be built by using HTML elements and lighting components. Note. Each lighting application should be prepared by using RR application tag as below. Syntax. Here we can specify RR components and Lightning Web components both, plus HTML elements.
Yep. Yeah, Firoz. We have to purchase
Done with
license
this?
means Firoz.
Yes. Tell me.
Hello. We have to
Yeah, tell
purchase
me.
license means we have to purchase license means client and server both they will give both.
Yes, 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 yes. We'll be providing
Okay,
both.
thank you.
Done with this one? Now, then how can we create these Lightning applications? We'll see in tomorrow's session. So now, tomorrow I will show you how to create our own Lightning application in Salesforce. What is the navigation we used to follow? And upon creating a Lightning application, and what is the navigation we have to follow? I will give you the navigation tomorrow. And then we'll see what are the various resources that we have in Lightning application bundle. In Lightning application bundle, what are the various of files are available? Totally, we have 7 files are available in Lightning application bundle. We have totally 7 files are available in Lightning application bundle. Like we are having the application file. We are having application file. We have controller file. We have helper file. And then we have style file. We have documentation file. And then we are having SVG file. And then we are having that the file called as renderer. Total 7 files are available as part of Lightning application bundle over here. Then what exactly this each file indicates, what content we need to write in each and every file, I will explain first. Then I will show you that, okay, how to create our own application. Like the similar fashion, when moving forward to your Lightning component also, upon creating the Lightning component, we have Lightning component bundle. In ARA components here, we are having 8 files are available. These 7 files are common. Along with that, it will be having one more file that additionally that is a design file. Okay, now, then what are those 8 files? What is the use? How to implement? We'll see one by one. Initially, we are going with ARA framework here, and then we'll enter into Lightning Web Components framework. Okay, now, tomorrow we'll see how to create our own Lightning applications. I will show you with some practical use cases also here. Okay, thank you. Thanks for your time. Let's meet on tomorrow at same time. Okay,
Hello, sir.
use the
There is
same
one.
link to join the session tomorrow as well. Use the same meeting link.
Hello, sir. There is one